Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game of the Max and part 2 of our Hearts of Iron 4 Old World Blues Enclave Redux mod. So, in the last episode, we have started down the path of the Reformist government under Granite. You got to choose all of his different. Um, I can't think of the name of those, but we chose like he's a mutant sympathizer and stuff. So we right now are consolidating power through the focus tree right here, coming down. We reached out to the centralist, answered all the questions, and then we will hopefully do purge the opposition and the American dream, and then we'll start going down the crime, the city of crime to annex New Reno here, which is still under Mr. Bishop. So, without further ado, let's start on up. We're at 4 speed. Yeah, I'm really excited to replay this. I know I talked about it in the first episode. I absolutely love the mod. I love the Enclave. Or I shouldn't say I love the Enclave, but I love the story behind the Enclave in here, and what you can make them into like kind of the fighting force for good in the wasteland. Um, a lot of wars kicking off, and then especially with the new updates to the mod, with the all of these places over here getting new focus trees. Consolidating power. Granite's mind raced as he walked towards the podium. He never knew politics could be as stressful as combat. Perhaps politics was even worse than combat, since the enemy soldier does not smile at you only to backstab you later. For the first time, Granite wondered if he was out of his league. Granite quickly brushed away the thought. He had a duty to carry out. Tensions have been high since the election. Support for the Purists has only intensified as a result, especially in the upper echelons of government. To address the situation, Boris T suggests to hold a town hall session with all those with grievances towards the new U.S. government. Now they were all in one room, awaiting answers from their president. Granite looked at the crowd before him. Many have appeared to be disdainful of the new president. The most obvious course of action would be give the speech he and Boris T had meticulously crafted and repeatedly revised over the past week, attempting to bring them over to the reformist cause. However, a more ruthless president might have grown tired of playing politics with these rats and may consider them enemy combatants instead. Someone hand me my speech or my fellow Americans. So you get double what you would have because you're charismatic. So I'll do my fellow Americans, 100 political power, and 10% change of popularity for intellectuals. The Legend of General James Song. The guards outside of Sierra Army Depot were quite surprised today when a man in strange power armor arrived at the gate dragging an Alpha Deathclaw. Of course, they fired at him, but the rounds bounced off his armor and didn't even phase the man before he presented a set of credentials identifying him as an Enclave officer. Checking what few records we have, we've identified him as none other than General James Song, who was last seen commanding the defense of Navarro against the combined assault of both the NCR and Brotherhood. While Sergeant Major Dornan may have led the retreat that led to the Enclave's survival, General Song led the diversion that saved the dreams of the Enclave. We thought for sure he had died, but no, he'd been captured by the NCR, broke out of their prison, recovered his armor from the Brotherhood, heard of the rumors of us here in the depot, killed an alpha male Deathclaw along the way, dragged it all the way here to give our soldiers food to eat, and is now reporting for duty. Welcome back, General. General James Song becomes a commanding officer.
Enclave here.
So if we don't want to keep Major General Grimm, we can just choose General Song, which we will already. I'm not sure if I can get um, General Grimm over to us, so we might as well just switch over now. Let's see, we're researching that already. Vehicles we're researching. Support. Saw. Can't get yet. Don't want to go ahead of time on that stuff. We can do the Hercules, the Persian. Yeah, let's do the Pershing cruise missile. And let's do... Oh, so we have to demote by decision. Let's get rid of the treacherous scientists. I wonder if we even have to do that. Yeah, has completed focus. Okay. Start. We can start doing the city of crime. Let's see. Vault City remained intellectual, by the way, in the last episode. She won her re-election. I'll be interested to see what we can do when we come over here and like take over the luminous ones or the baggers. Because these are the ones that got new focus trees in the new update. Warden declared war on the hand dogs. Shell's army. Hopefully Warden wins. Speeding right along through. Let's see, we can demote. Hold a small speech. So we are demoting the Purist scientist. And I think we had to do that for this one. Yeah, Purist scientist demoted. So we have to do demote. We'll just demote him now.
And the fucking president's watching us like a hawk.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. He got recently promoted and recently demoted. So she also got recently demoted. And then we can just execute both of them. Lost in the base. Oh, we just lost a bunch of stability. Alright. I thought at one point you could try to save them, but it does not look like you can anymore for Major General Grimm. So he's just gonna be gone. Army offensive, entrenchment, defense. Let's get her. It's a lot of political power, but that's okay.
Enclave main com.
But
This is Enclave main com.
put you 8 here. Then if you're curious how I do that, you just hit shift and then make the line, and then they don't divide by unit. The new Reno expedition seems that the power that be in New Reno have become wary of the growing strength of the NCR. The crisis in Navarro seemed to have emboldened them into thinking that they could possibly take on the bear if they made life hard for the NCR military. No doubt the Navarro crisis has shaken the political core of the NCR, and it remains to be seen what will become of it. What that means for us, however, is that the New Reno-sponsored expedition was noted leaving the city earlier this week, and what source we do have in New Reno states they were making their way towards the depot here to try and scavenge for weapons and supplies from the pre-war era to use against the bear. This idea has always been seen within New Reno's area of influence, and thus considered their territory. That's bad for us because they just skirmished with some of our forward outposts. Likewise, they didn't win as they were nothing more than a scavenging party and some guards, but that won't sit well with New Reno. We're getting word of additional mercenaries to be sent in our way to root us out. We focus the city of crime, and we declare war on them. Gunrunners declare request a loan, which we can't afford. Well, I'm glad we shifted these troops over. With you, do ferocious leadership, terrain penalty reduction. You are a desert fox. Let's do supply grace. I like the planning speed, but if you get better or you get more max planning, that's usually a little bit better. And division attack. That's good. All right.
Excellent. I see.
Click here. Nope.
Now move it, soldier.
Try to circle around and pin them.
Outstanding.
The Zapadoos.
Enclave here.
Cutting a New Reno with those gentlemen.
That's a no one. Have a nice day.
And then do that with these guys. Ooh, an extra mill factory. Let's get them making more rifles. The fall of New Reno. The chaos that was the Battle of New Reno is coming to a close. Sierra Enclave is starting to enforce order onto the city. Fighting still continues throughout the city. It's believed the city will be back to normal in a few days. We heard the stories, but this place is worse than any of them.
Why isn't your video feed working? Now move it, soldier!
I turned it off.
The fucking president's watching us like a hawk.
Ooh, I wish it would stop cussing.
The fucking president's
Oh,
watching
it
us like
does
a
it
hawk.
again.
Yeah.
Nobody knows disabled, of course.
Gotcha.
Just pin him.
A few more moments
Just walk into
on your
Nixon. We
sorry ass.
should be able to defeat them flat out. Can't do that. Assault canoes, sure. Oh, and New Reno fell. We get some Hermes armor kits, some tribal scout kits, and then a few pipe weaponry. We'll just take all. Submit demands, confirm. Okay. We have defeated them. Which means we have to purge the officers. Lose a bunch of stability. We will not be pushed around. And then what we can do, which we should have done, I didn't think about it. We can do that and that. Should push us high enough to do the assassination attempt. Change popularity of leads negative 20%, negative 10% stability loss, and we attempt to purge him. Good. Let's do special forces perks.
Enclave here.
Take our army and move them, I guess, up north. Civilian factories. Let's start building some more. The federal budget with the conquest of New Reno, the Enclave must now deal with something that it has been put off for 2 centuries: the federal budget. When the Enclave ruled a series of vaults, an oil rig, and a redacted, the Enclave relied on a command economy. But now that it rules a substantial population of wastelanders, it needs to tax them, and spend money. For it seems that our wasteland soldiers want a salary, and our veterans want more than just jaunty propaganda. Nothing is certain in life but death and taxes. Replaces no currency with bottle caps. Effective change caps expense plus 100%. Replace motivated by vengeance with standard wages. And replace, which gives us army experience gain negative 15%. Recruitable population factor negative 5%. Consumer goods negative 5%. And max training negative 10%. And replaces disorganized engineers with civilian economy. And you can read what that changes for our economy. And then Thrad defects to the Troll Warren. Okay. The Sierra Enclave's liberation of New Reno has changed much of the city's riffraff to the end of the earth. Among those who fled is Thrad the Immortal, one of the Master's greatest warriors. He has defected to the Troll Warren, where he has rapidly risen in the first ranks. These reinforcements will give the Troll Warren a powerful tool against the Washington Brotherhood, who is already overextended, oppressing its neighbors. Well, this seems like a Brotherhood problem. He joins the Troll Warren. Adds trolling your neighbors, which grants plus 30% attack bonus on the Washington Brotherhood, the Morrow Drinkers, and the Rib Breakers, and gains 1 research slot. Plus gives them Master's New Army, support equipment, squad automatic weapons, and maintenance companies. And then patrolling New Reno for the first time in Enclave's history, we reclaimed an American city. However, New Reno's population does not yet see it this way. While some are hopeful that the gangsters are being pushed out, other fears and distrust the power armor strangers patrolling the streets. Minor acts of resistance, such as a thrown rock or insults, are not uncommon, as unsavory types test the limit of our troops' patience. If we appear weak, small arms fire may soon follow. Teach them not to mess with the Enclave, or establish strict rules of engagement. Return fire only, an unpopular move, but do we want to be the power armor monsters responding with plasma rifles to kids throwing rocks? Adds resistance target plus 10%, compliance growth speed plus 15%, resistance activity chance plus 10%, gain 5% legitimacy, but we lose a little bit of war support based on the elites. Yeah, we won't have enough time for that to delete them. So we'll just do establish the strict rules of engagement. Leave that little bit of war support. But we get the legitimacy, which should be starting to help with our improvement there. And then, of course, we're going to come over to our intelligence agency. I need to make sure if we do this one. Let's try to see if this gives us I think that might give us a intelligence agency, so I'm going to hold off on doing that real quick. And it's only 10 days, so once we're finished with this one, we'll jump over and do that one real quick. The cruise missiles researched. Let's do the surface-to-air missile, because the bear will have a Air Force. Oh, alright. Do the man from Cedar real quick. So it canceled because we've got too much support for them, so yeah, just hit 15%. So I'll have to make them lose some more. We can do no formal training. Well, we can save up and do Enclave Academy. It may take us a while to get there, unless we do. We'll start doing these ones here. The man from Cedar. We'll do the family. Let's do a shared dream. The man's from Cedar. Enclave intelligence. Where do we begin? It is their failure to protect travel or predict a travel from Oregon would blow up the rig. Their secretive ways that aren't subject to oversight. The removal of officers or politicians that they deemed a threat, or maybe it's the fact they were one of the few Enclave organizations that nepotism didn't exactly pan out. That's creating the stigma they now deserve. Regardless, many throughout the Enclave intelligence died with the rig, as their officers and operatives hadn't been seen in over 30 years. However, this was until a bedraggled caravan merchant arrived at our depot claiming to be Colonel Callahan from Enclave Intelligence. Our guards nearly shot him on spot, but the officer of the guard checked, and sure enough, he was holding the correct credentials, including the DNA sequencer. He has since cleaned up and is now speaking about plans to reinvigorate the greatest intelligence apparatus in the post-war era. His charisma must have been maxed out because a lot of people are listening. Sure, but what's a Cedar? Wait, that's a city in Iowa. He becomes an advisor. Or great Enclave Intelligence. Add Enclave Intelligence, which grants civilian intelligence plus 1% or 2%, Army, Navy, and Air Intelligence plus 1%, agency upgrade time negative 2%. He becomes an advisor. I wonder what type of advisor he becomes. Thought I had seen him. Well, though I like the Enclave Intelligence, we'll just grab him as an advisor. Where is he? First Atlas, that's not it. Enclave Intelligence, there it is. He'll be good, unless we take somebody else up there. Do a shared dream real quick. We can arrange disappearances. Hurt stability. We don't really knock them down enough. And I need to save up my political power, so hopefully this gives me political power. Communists are fighting. Oh, I did need to see, I think the far Reacher group got knocked out. Dealing with the Rights. Some say the Wrights family has spent the last few decades building with one hand and destroying with the other, but compared to the other families, this makes them most redeemable. Mr. Wright's vision of a more peaceful and stable Reno is not entirely incompatible with our own. Allow him to go legit, get him as an advisor, or there's no place for his kind here. Get 3-arm workshop. E-compliance is really nice. Let's see. What's our compliance right now in New Reno? 0. 3 arms workshops and political power would really do us well. Let them go legit or get rid of them. Civilian infrastructure. I think I usually let him go legit. we'll just say his place is no kind here. Checkmate. Get more here. And we do need some basic caravan equipment. Do checkmate real quick. I do have enough to get rid of Navarro veterans for Enclave Academy, which should now, I mean, this is going down ever so slightly, but we can start to actually knock it down. Nothing certain in life but death and taxes. Issues is we're having trouble with the tax part. Turns out a group of soldiers, mercenary scientists, and Vault City refugees don't exactly know how to collect taxes from the population. As of right now, we're sustaining ourselves off protection money provided from escorting caravans to the Sierra Wasteland and proceeds from Callahan's Cedar Caravan Company. However, this is only a temporary solution. The more we lock down the Sierra Wasteland and return it to Nevada, the less we'll be able to charge for caravan security, as why bother paying for it when the state is secure. Callahan has also voiced his displeasure at having to move funds from his caravan company to the budget, though we've questioned the ethics of our intel chief running a caravan company on the side. We'll address that later. The biggest issue, however, is as our military grows, we're going to need to collect more money to pay soldiers. Sure, some of the Navarro veterans will work off nostalgia and anger, but those we hire from New Reno and elsewhere, they'll need something more real. At the very least, with control of New Reno, we can collect taxes to fund our operations, but we have no way to actually doing that. The IRS was long destroyed, and what members it did have went down with the rig. Send the Secret Service. I guess that could work. Add Secret Service Tax Squad, which grants -1% stability, but 10% caps income. All right. Well, we are finally getting caps now, but we can't do anything with the gun runners because we don't have any relationship with them. I don't think they take plasma weapons. Checkmate. Dealing with the bishops may have been the most powerful family in New Reno. Mr. Bishop himself is a dangerous man for many reasons, one of which are his numerous political connections in the NCR. The crime lords gangsters were loyal enough to face down the other families, but the sight of the X01 power armor sent them scattered. He has retreated to his mansion, accompanied by only his closest and most loyal, surrounded by our forces and trapped. Focused on taking their assets, or capturing their assets. Focused on apprehending their leader, which is 75 political power, and the Reno resistance target named 10%, or why does he look like Granite? Gets event, they're brothers? It's the one I did last time. They're brothers. On the order from the president, a DNA test on Granite, along with a sample we collected from one of the bars Mr. Bishop frequents. To our surprise, they're half brothers. This seems an impossibility since Granite was the son of an Enclave soldier, and Mr. Bishop was born from one of the Bishop's family matriarchs. The official story is Granite Sr. visit New Reno. Unofficially, Granite's darkest secret is his mother was the chosen one, which he told a few only in his inner circle, but that leads to more questions. The only person, however, to settle this conundrum is Mr. Bishop. The soldier that he is, Granite has expressed willingness to give himself as a hostage with the information to present to his apparent half-brother. Granite walked into Mr. Bishop's mansion, a heart rate monitor on him. On the first sign of something wrong, Enclave soldiers are going to storm that mansion. I hope he knows what he's doing. Who needs crime when you have family? Let me get the families of New Reno. Lanius's cohort. Who needs crime when you have family? For 2 days, everything remained silent from Granite, though his heart rate monitor indicated he was alive and even slept through the night. Much to our relief, he walked out smiling and laughing with Mr. Bishop. Apparently, the two had become best friends. Mr. Bishop had happily agreed to not only turn his assets over to assist the Enclave, but he's also going to use his contacts in the NCR to reduce some suspicion. When questioned, Granite said Bishop ran out his own test, and yes, they were brothers. The standoff had finished without bloodshed, and Granite has returned to his post, on condition that Bishop be granted full rights afforded to members of the Enclave. While a few protested, Granite was quick to silence them, either by words or the fact Granite can be a ruthless son of a gun. Just like his half-brother, Mr. Bishop, meanwhile, had even agreed to help disguise our operations as that of New Reno, further avoiding confrontation with the NCR, but even his reach is not infinite. Of note, Granite's father is not Bishop's father, therefore their common parent is the chosen one, who gave birth to Granite and impregnated the Bishop matriarch. The statistics that chosen is a hermaphrodite are slim, but not impossible. Disguising as New Reno, how interesting, or we can just do, we'll take most of his help. So we'll just be known as New Reno. And the bottle caps, or the suspicion will go down and will be known as New Reno. I think this doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't think any of that matters. So we'll just be known as New Reno for right now to throw off some of the NCR suspicion. Politics 101. No, no, no. Politics don't work that way. You can't just punch a politician who will disagree with you, Bishop yelled. Granite let out a sigh. The reformist, purist power struggle showed just how inexperienced Granite was with politics. Anderson could practically dance circles around Granite. Granite was barely able to win with the help of his allies. Obviously, a president requires a different skill set than a mercenary commander. Therefore, Granite asked Mr. Bishop to teach him how to be a proper politician. After all, the notorious Machiavellian Mr. Bishop had a wealth of experience running New Reno, plus his personal relationship with Granite means he is willing to help. However, Granite proved even more politically inept than expected, much to Mr. Bishop's frustration. Bishop opened his desk and took out a few books. Lying, congressional style, was written on the cover. I suggest you read up on these books first. Once you understand the basics, come back to see me. I love that in the storyline, there is a book that has been wrote that is lying the congressional style. A sign of intelligence is an awareness of one's own ignorance. Gain 50 political power. Perfect. We can come in here. We will begin a scavenging program. And we will do a small speech. Should put us just close enough to almost be able...
And the fucking president's watching us like a hawk.
And why does it keep cussing? We're not going to have them disappear just yet. We're about to do the families of New Reno. Let's see. Those of New Reno, the ones in charge of New Reno are one thing. The people of New Reno are another. While some of our common citizens living in a town, the vast bulk are mercenaries, crime enforcers, and petty criminals. While they're not faced directly, they know the streets, and they can easily discover our patrol routes. There's a reason even the NCR had trouble trying to rein in New Reno. However, we're not the NCR, we're the Enclave. A few of our more bleeding hearts have suggested rebuilding infrastructure and providing goods and services in lieu of patrols. More traditional thinkers, however, know that enforcing the law in a lawless town and their dead bodies buried in Golgotha are all that is needed to remind wayward New Reno denizens that they need to mind their Uncle Sam. We're from the government and we're here to help. Okay, yes, we did cause the Great War. ... Nixon compliance and Lovelock compliance plus 10%, gain 5% legitimacy. Or, as president, I am the law. Drop your weapons, these streets are under Enclave patrol. Gain 50 political power. Negative 10% resistance targets for both, and gave them 150,000 bottle caps. See, what's good about that, though I don't agree with it, though those are horrifying words there. If we go into the next one right here, the new capital, we gain core on New Reno, and the outskirts. So we don't gain cores out here. We just get New Reno and the New Reno outskirts. So these two won't be cores, but it's okay if they're not cores for right now. We do need to switch that from no occupation to caravan guards at least. Nope. Sporadic outposts. Even worse. But let's just take those bottle caps because they will come into use at some point. Especially, no, I love the legitimacy and we need more of it. Well, we have 200,000 bottle caps. Yeah, let's just take the bottle caps right now. It'll make more sense later on. We can infiltrate the NCR. Let's just do the new capital. Gain stability. And remove protected by the Sierra Armor Depot. But we get New Reno slaves and the Wastelanders. Perfect. And for you, a technocrat. Political power gain. Research. An aircraft company. Go to Vertibird. Here. Army Reformer. Experience gain. That'd be nice, but we're not gaining any experience. Can't go up any. Alright. Let's hold on. We'll get over to that. And I can't sell anything. I don't even think I can sell to these guys. Nope. Can't sell any of mine. That is fine. We should see them drop off finally might take too long. I actually probably am just going to do the arrange the disappearances. Lose that stability. Test flight. Callahan watched the black dots get smaller and smaller before seeing a small plum of dust from impact. Nodding his head, he closed the door to the vertibird and turned to the pilot, who was sitting nervously. Callahan sat down in the co-pilot seat and pulled out a Nuka-Cola. So I see you can pilot a vertibird. You're just not certified, correct? Yes. Yes, sir. However, selection process for new pilots is very limited given the limited number of verts we got, and you've been passed over for flight school twice. Yes, sir. Now I can easily sway the president's hand and get you top of the pilot listing or second slot. You'll be soaring high, maybe even piloting Marine one day. Who knows? Sky's the limit. The nervous pilot nodded as he stared straight ahead. Now, you do not see me toss a duffel bag with 2 still alive bodies out the side of a vertibird, correct? That was merely a demonstration flight, correct? Asked Callahan. Yes, sir. Just a demonstration. Good. We need more pilots. Now then, fly around the bend. For Enclave President only. And I'll put in a good word for you. That is actually really funny, and I enjoyed that. We'll get done with the new capital. For this, you can make a deal with them, or we can just kill them off, lose some stability, close down the chop shop. So really lose a bunch of local population and manpower and legitimacy for closing them down, or you just cooperate with them. So let's just we can get more, I guess, equipment from it is what you get. But I don't want to lose any legitimacy as long as we don't have to for right now. So let's just make a deal with the Van Graffs to get them going. Let them flee, and we'll get some weapons off of them. You're disabled for a little bit. Concentration of force. Rapid deployment. The Wastelanders. Alright, the new capital. With the city of New Reno now fully under our control, we are now governed over a significant amount of Wastelanders. Since we cannot install Enclave members to every single position of influence in the city, some Wastelanders have begun exercising an amount of power within our borders. Suppose this was inevitable. We gain negative 3% war support, and the People's Party will now be called the Wastelanders. 10% popularity change for the people. Not on my watch, they don't. We lose 3% legitimacy. The People's Party is now called the Wastelanders, change popularity by 5%, or we can encourage this. We gain 3% legitimacy, lose 5% war support, and change the popularity of the people by 15%. So we either lose legitimacy, war support, or more war support, but gain legitimacy. I think, though I like the legitimacy effort of this, I don't really want them to be at 15%. Though they will slowly start to go down. Get the legitimacy. Killing the war support, though, is rough. But yeah, we'll take that. So we got a lot more manpower. New Reno slaves. During the liberation of New Reno, we've come across a large population of slaves, triggering off for debate as to whether we should allow the practice of slavery in these United States. Although there are those who say slavery is un-American, others point out that a captive workforce could be a boon to our economy and his historical precedents. As a compromise, we could adopt Vault City's servitude system, providing food, protection, and medical care in exchange for involuntary servitude, but others say that seems like slavery with extra steps. Slavery is a boon to our economy. Gain resource efficiency, gain plus 5% stability, negative 4%, and lose 5% legitimacy. Gain indentured servitude, which gains us negative 5% recruitable population factor, but 5% factory output and dockyard output. And then we also get 5% resource gain efficiency, negative 4% stability, and 5% construction speed and factory output. Or we just gain a flat out 5% legitimacy, which is what I'm going to do. If they wanted slavery, they'd have elected Anderson. We'll now assassinate this man. Got more. Let's get anti-tank and Air Force. Let's do the payload gliders. There we go. All right. Continue on. The followers of the apocalypse. They always come about. Following the recent establishment in our Navian rivals, a group of humanitarian pacifists who dub themselves the followers of the apocalypse have begun trickling into our lands. Their aim is seemingly noble: to provide services to those in need, ranging from medical care to agricultural advice. They care for the parts of society we prefer to forget, be them homeless or junkies, and are accepting of all that have no one left to turn to. On this front alone, we have no qualms with them. After all, who would refuse free medical supplies? Problem only start to arise when you look closely at our neighbors. Where the followers have been established for a while, support for any sort of war amongst the people of these nations is slipping, as they prefer to stay on their farmsteads and practice their new medicines. There's even some indication that the followers accept sedition anarchists into their ranks, who are intent on either burning our nation to the ground or seizing power themselves. We may need to keep an eye on them, but therefore, if we decide to tolerate the followers remaining in our lands. Once established in a nation, the followers will prove very difficult to uproot. We must therefore decide swiftly, before they have a chance to settle down properly, whether or not we should welcome these followers of the apocalypse and their strange beliefs onto our land. Accept them will undoubtedly bring benefit, but at what long-term cost? We will allow them to establish. Let them come; they'll only do good. We can bribe the NCR, which I would really like to do the chop shop real quick. We don't get any political power for that. We'll have to find a focus that gives us political power. Grant them bases. We'll give them some people. Is there anything we can do to get more political power? I think it's down here. That's stability for political power. That's not worth it. Research speed for weekly war support. That's weekly stability. I'd hate to lose weekly stability for that long for just some political power. But it would cover both costs. And how long is that? For 56 days, so a little less than 7 stability. Alright, we'll do that real quick. That's not a great deal, of course, but we can do the cooperate with the chop shop, and we can do bribe the NCR. There we go. And we still have some political power to save. And then we can save up for this as not then extended administration shifts. Oh. I wonder if they can't do them at the same time. Complaints about the tax squad. We're getting complaints from across our controlled territories about the tax squad. Honestly, we should have had a better plan than just send out the Secret Service to collect taxes from everyone. They're not subtle about it. Shakedowns, intimidations, racketeering. They don't know what they are doing and are just doing what worked for the New Reno gangs. More than a few in New Reno alone have pointed out that it feels like they just traded the bishops for the Granites, and that we're less of a government and more of an organized gang with heavy weapons and power armor. What's worse, there have been more than a few intense standoffs between the tax squads and more armed New Reno merchants. Thankfully, none of them ended in bloodshed. However, one of them was Cedar Caravan Company, which is Colonel Callahan's outfit. Callahan himself has expressed his confusion about why his caravan company is being used to pay his own salary when it is already most of his salary. That also led to when the tax squad tried to shake down a few off-duty soldiers for their money. Running a country is hard. Lose negative 8% stability. Ouch. Well, bye-bye, stability. It was nice having you. Let's do you, seed selection. Economic resurgence, perfect. Let's see. Start doing you. Political power gain. Construction speed. We could start getting rid of him. For political power gain's pretty nice. Won't get rid of him just yet because we gotta get rid of Dr. Anderson. Soldier caught out of uniform. During one of his dreaded surprise inspections, Sergeant Doran caught a private out of his standard issue power armor. The soldier cited maintenance, but no such request was filed. Doran wasted no time in demanding 1,000 push-ups as you happen by. Cut the boys some slack, or let the sergeant do his job. Always let the military do his job, though it kills our war support. Which reminds me, since that's going to kill our war support, we're just going to do a little bit of research speed knocked off and construction speed. Yeah, we'll just get rid of both of those. And the only reason I'm saying that now is we have huge debuffs to it. So, all right, the assassination of Dr. Anderson, the attempted purge of Franklin Anderson. The good doctor had been a thorn in our side ever since his loss in the election. His connections and wits have kept him alive up until now, stubbornly leading his few remaining followers. Up until the last minute, Anderson stayed put at his post in the Sierra Armored Depot, fulfilling his administrative duties on his terminal. It was to our great surprise that we found his office empty, as if he had left in a great hurry. A vertibird, a small group of personnel, some known to be his followers, and some power armor also disappeared around the same time. Anderson's terminal has been wiped clean, but analyzing past network traffic revealed that it was pinging potential Enclave outposts in the east using expired presidential authentication codes, which are monitoring dropped since they were automatically failed authentications. This has been rectified, but rest assured our current remaining presidential authorization codes have never been compromised, and Anderson will be rejected by any remaining Enclave systems. Regardless, Anderson and his most loyal followers are gone and will no longer be a problem for this foreseeable future. Clever man, but he knows he has lost. Let's do purge the opposition, gets rid of political infighting, and Boris retires. So we do have right here slavery outlawed, gives us negative 25% resource gain efficiency, negative 15% construction speed, and negative 5% factory output. None of that. That's very painful. The fall of the National Guard over there in Oklahoma. Cyphers defeated the Forgers. The Baggers are about to be defeated. Resistance is growing. NCR victorious in Navarro. Following the withdrawal or destruction of the remaining opponents, the New California Republic has once again emerged as the undisputed controller of the Navarro frontier, the culmination of a campaign regaining control of Northwest California after fighting broke out between settlers aligned with the Shi, the NCR garrison, and the native tribes of the region. The NCR once again faces the task of taming California's last frontier. The bear, supported by a number of Brahmin barons, has quickly taken steps to integrate the Navarro territory into NCR proper, bringing in a new swath of settlers eager to extract the land's rich lumber and crops. Reno sends the MCR is in Navarro to stay. The status quo prevails. So, Aaron Kimball is still in charge. We'll do make and do. And we'll continue on. We could give them to production of our metal, but we're not going to. Remnants wish to return. We've been contacted by the leader of a sizable company of Enclave remnants. They have survived the decades as razors, greatly feared due to their advanced tactics and technology. Having heard rumors of the return of the Enclave, they are seeking to be reinstated into our armed forces. While the extra manpower can be very useful, the disdain for mutant rivals that of Anderson and his ilk, we must therefore consider the political consequences of accepting them into our ranks. The prodigal sons have returned. The remnants are accepted as a new division and quickly join the Purist. One Enclave veteran and 2 veteran auxiliaries appear. Change popularity elites plus 8%, or just lose 5% stability. We'll take them because we're going to get rid of all of the Purists anyway. A fist fight broke out. A heated argument turned violent after the General Staff cafeteria today. Unsurprisingly, the topic of the argument was the recent elections. Though many claimed that he was provoked, none denied that the person supporting the reformer caused through the first punch. This normally insufficient issue is gathering a lot of attention, and we have been asked to intervene. An ungrateful position to be in, since defending their aggressor would reflect badly on us, but condemning them would come across as a stab in the back to the most zealous reformers. Purists had it coming. There's no excuse for striking a fellow officer, or both share the blame. Both share the blame. The future of the Enclave. In the Enclave, loyalty, patriotism, and allegiance were the primary currency. One did as ordered by the president or the officer above them, and if you were lucky, maybe you could move up past a rank your family had. To steer a new course, to avoid the mistakes they passed, to go against the grain of the elites. That was the fastest way to do an early grave or exile to some far-off mainland outpost, never to be seen again. Thus, most Enclave, rank and file were just good soldiers following order, content with burning the village or torching raiders because they were following orders. But they were Enclave, America, the good guys, right? By the time Dick Richardson took over, reformers were nothing more than a jaded old soldier disobeying orders however they could, or deserters who wanted nothing to do with the Enclave. It is ironic that to save the Enclave's dream of an American, the Enclave had to be destroyed, and a dream is hard to kill, and it is in the Sierra Armored Depot that the shock of seeing the wasteland for the first time at meeting with those deemed mutants changed so many. When the bombs fell, the Enclave was for the rich and the elite, or rather the rich old who didn't want to give up their power. Well, now the rich old are dead, and the new Enclave has taken its place. The question is, what kind of Enclave will it be? America was made to last no matter the world it's in, or it's time for a new America for a new world. War sports going up right now, so stability. It's time for a new America for a new world.
Why isn't your video feed working?
Because I turned it off.
And the fucking president's watching us like a hawk.
All right. Purge the opposition, and then do this one. Then start doing these parts. We also have to do the mutant question with the redefining the definition of human. Flexible designs. Got some good money. Lanny's cohort defeated the executives. The Reclamation Authority. So now we've got our gentleman being able to go and scavenge. We'll start scavenging missions. We'll give them some vehicles. We'll just let them go and find anything. Doesn't really matter for right now.
But everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
Get ready to take over these guys. The followers established themselves, having failed to work out that we were behind efforts to take advantage of them. The followers of the apocalypse have fully spread completely throughout our nation. They now occupy a number of forts, towers, and bases across the country, using them as medical centers and knowledge hubs to assist local populations. Sure enough, populations are expanding as babies and battle wounded alike are nurtured back to health by these eerie doctors. Local farmers are also growing bumper crops thanks to the expansive agricultural knowledge that the followers seem to possess. With these benefits come drawbacks, however, and as slowly but surely the followers of the deals are sleeping out into the settlements they assist. More and more young men are laying down their arms, seeing agriculture as a more profitable enterprise. Young children are being taught basic medicine. All those who gain from knowledge from the followers remember their debts, and as a result, the influence of the followers is greatly increasing. We should be able to hold this at bay and will still reap the rewards from the followers' presence, but we must be wary. Change. The followers spread into the followers of the apocalypse gain negative 5% political power, plus 15% monthly population, 5% stability, and negative 5% more support. It said negative, but then it gains some. So. And then you can come down here and use them, but if you do use them, their influence will gain, and then you have to pay them back for it. So you kind of have to be careful with what you do, because they can start demanding things and it can hurt you. Almost done with the Purge the Opposition. We can go up to lifetime pensions, which we will do at some point. Awesome, perfectly. We got rid of that. Baseball. The president decided to revive a pre-war game to boost patriotism and has gone on the radio with a new speech. Been thinking quite a bit lately about something we can all relate to, something that is unquestionably, inescapably American. I am referring to, of course, to our great national pastime, baseball. Now ask yourself this: what if Nevada's gamblers could live again? What if they can compete with baseball teams from California or Oregon? Put your faith in the Enclave, Great America, and baseball will live again. Comfort, recreation, healthy competition, all will live again. This country will live again. Play ball, lose 5% war support, gain 5% legitimacy, or back to work. I hate keep losing war support. Power would be nice, but let's play ball. Counter with the Crimson Caravan. One of our patrols stumbled upon an expedition of the Crimson Caravan. The squad leader, less trigger happy than some, has reported back requesting orders on how to proceed. The Caravan is not close enough to confirm that they are faced with Enclave power armor specifically, but rumors of suspicious patrols in the Nevada desert could reach the NCR. We'll just let the suspicion go up. Purge the opposition, and then we need to do the mutant question, which is 10 days, to then allow us to choose our path. Let's do promote this node so we get more money. Get some more money from that. I'm just going to say excellent. These are for the ministers, because this will just continue to pop up every time we do it. And by the time we get more, you don't want to see it every single time. This can go up to level 8. They can go up to a max level of 10, and then you get more money and more trade routes each time. So the mutant question. The Enclave of Old barely recognized the mutant denizens of the wasteland as human. Many among us still don't, desiring clear lines to be drawn between purebred humans and wastelander mutants. The official stance of our government towards our mutated subjects must be clear to those with and without the Enclave. The mutants will have a place in America, but not on top. You get separate but peaceful, which is segregation, or expand the definition. Change popularity of people plus 5%, gain 5% legitimacy, and begin integration, which gives us negative 10% political power gain, plus 5% non-core manpower, negative 10% division organization, plus 5% recruitable population factor, and negative 10% division attack. We'll do that one, and then we can come up here and do the American Dream. So we'll start this one, and then we can finish up Reno Reborn, start working through this one, and finish it out there. This one doesn't take long. I do want to do prepare expansions and do Legacy of Vault 15. So let's start the American Dream. We could move against the Vipers first. The Jackals. MODOK. I do want to knock out Vault City since they are friendly. They've got a non-aggression pact, and they're giving the NCR weapons. So, Kimball 1, which is instead of Allgood Murphy, who, if you guys watch our old series, we did play as Allgood's Murphys. So, for Kimball, you get a lot more military. So, into the blizzard, while some of the remaining purists were either executed, had accidents, or simply packed up and disappeared, well, they still had a chance. One particularly numerous groups appropriated few vertibirds and headed north far beyond our radar coverage. One can only guess why they would choose such a bizarre direction. They will probably freeze to death anyway. Enclave defectors flocked to the Legion. Although we took power with a promise to not purge our political enemies, like most politicians, we've fallen short of our promise. While some purists fled east to Chicago or Raven Rock, some Enclave loyalists who like Wastelander Americans personally, but doubt our cause, have sold their services to the Legion. They took some suits of power armor, plasma guns, and our last supply of FEV on their way out. Apparently, Kaiser intended to use them to bring the torch of knowledge to the waste in a rather literal fashion. They get Enclave Advisor, which grants infantry plus 5% soft attack, division speed plus 5%, division attrition negative 10%, and division attack plus 5%. Morano returns. Orion Morano is a soldier that used to serve the Enclave until the destruction of Devero. Like many others, he fled south in the NCR. A loyal soldier, he had never given up on the Enclave's dreams of restoring in America. When rumors of the Enclave return reached him, Orion packed up his bag and rejoined his lost comrades. He becomes a high advisor, or high command advisor, which gives us division recovery rate plus 10% and 5% stability. Anti-integration faction, the Purists are no more, but that does not mean every member of the Reformer faction is an unconditional lover of the wasteland. Many hold the opinion that While they are certainly no purists, the Wastelanders should be kept at a safe arm's length from the pure stock humans of the Enclave. For them, there could be no integration, only the ruling of one class by their genetic betters. Many ex-purists and reformer moderates have gone over to this new faction in our government. How should we approach this new divide? The elites parties will be called the anti-integration party. A valuable point of view, or 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So we can lose a lot of stability. That goes to the elitists. We'll allow them to gain popularity, but it's because we can take it back at some point. Hostile takeover of Petro Chico. If you guys would like to read that, go ahead. Let's see. That won't do anything. I don't think we can get anybody that does give us once Boris retires. He gives us people's, but I don't want the people's. Let's see. Do smoke signals. There's the pitch. I think actually with no broadcast we can get, yeah, Reformers propaganda. We just start doing that. There's the pitch. The new Reno Sergeants played off the game against the Vault City Dwellers in Courtyard today, marking the first baseball game broadcasted over radio in centuries. The match came about as stability and travel in the northern Sierra Wasteland, allowing the Sergeants and the Dwellers to play. This game went on for 9 innings before the Sergeants bet everything on a rookie player with the 3 bases loaded, with the rookie Casey scoring a home run that saw the Sergeants clinch victory in a close match. The broadcasted game was listened by the thousands across California and into Oregon. Rumors abounded about mysterious military-style officers in black hanging around the stands as field comparison series theories that the stability in Nevada was brought about by a third party, with fringe reports claiming to be an Enclave origin. Mainstream officials dismissed these claims, saying that the Enclave died in Navarro, citing light of a lack of evidence on the West Coast. Gained 5% stability, and NCR suspicion goes up by 10. Kaiser's Legion defeated the Bandolito Ranchers. The People, party leader, none. I actually don't know what would happen if you do go the People route. I don't think that works. So, oh, the Mojave chapter's winning. Yes, they won. Okay. Gun runners want lower tariffs. Yes. I should be able to now buy pipe weapons. Perfect. Might be wondering why I bought those. Because they can go into the garrison troops. And I don't care much about the garrison. We can go into our stockpile and look at infantry equipment and see that the pipe guns aren't being used, but they can be used for garrisons. Don't think you want to put it as low priority, but it doesn't matter. We'll need them at some point for the garrisons. Sky High Joyride. People fled in terror today when an erratic vertibird careened through the airspace above New Reno. The aircraft flew low over buildings and was noted to be performing high-speed aerial maneuvers, the pilot ignoring calls to land by New Reno police. A military response was called in with the trooper firing a missile that struck the aircraft in the engine. The vertibird crashed in the town outskirts and was quickly surrounded by the New Reno police and military personnel from the nearby Sierra Army base. The pilots having survived were found to be New Reno benefactor Mr. Bishop and the ranking Enclave official Douglas Granite. Both were found to be incredibly intoxicated, and the vertibird was apparently the private vertibird of Mr. Bishop. No one was hurt in the incident, and the two have been fined for disturbing the peace. Can Granite be arrested? The American Dream. Our flag is still here. The Enclave's dream has always been to restore America to its rightful shores. From sea to shining sea, it is what drove the Enclave on through those dark early years after the Great War, what kept their drive going over 100 years, and what was the spark that returned them to the shores of California when they began their return. That light was thought dead in these last 30 years since the destruction of the rig, with many proud Americans hunted down like rabid dogs, many times shot dead in the street, but no longer. President Granite today announced the Enclave's dream of returning the Stars and Stripes to the shore of America will begin in earnest, that steps would be taken to infiltrate and lay the groundworks for American return. All he asked was for time, time to ready, time to prepare. That soon one day this new world will see the return of the United States, and that nothing, not even a tribal, was going to stop him this time. May our banners forever wave, or over this land of the free. So gain 15% stability or 15% war support. We'll take the stability for right now because that puts us almost at 100% stability. And we could do New Reno Reborn. And see, now we've got all of this. Here's opening it up. So let's come over here and get through the New Reno address. I think we can lose the New Reno flag at some point. Build in some of these. Throw some out. Let's see. Can't do anything there. Get these howitzers. Officer training, loyal officers. That also gains us some intellectual support. That would be really good too. Americans one and all. Let's do loyal officers. And we'll save up to do war economy. Bringing troops to the bear. War never changes, and what things do change, the more they seem to stay the same. Border President Granite, our sights are now set to reclaim our last lands and reforge this nation into the superpower it once was, and see old glory raised high. However, before us lays the new California Republic, and with it the power of California. While we have an advantage in power, armor, and weapons, with our best scientists having flown the coop, we're nothing more than a techno-warlord state with American heritage, and half our army's experience in combat is shooting gang enforcers, raiders, and a few tribals. The other half are so old their faces look like topographical maps. I don't remember that line, but it's very funny. The NCR, meanwhile, has the industry capacity, a robust command system, and of course their numbers. Pre-war population ratios of Nevada to California were 14-1, and we can't expect those numbers to have improved since the Great War. In fact, they may have gotten worse given California's level of development compared to Nevada. General Aguila has put together a training plan to rapidly influx our ranks with new recruits and get them trained up to fight. Basic training will be shortened to instill patriotism and cohesion, while primary combat training will be at the unit level when recruits arrive. Those who have seen combat will be promoted to leadership positions and ensure our armies stay professional, as well as drill fresh-faced soldiers in the art of wasteland warfare. It's not ideal. It is likely to lead disorganization, but we're going to beat the NCR. But if we're going to beat the NCR, we need to have every Nevadian possible brought to the fight. No. Now stop asking the dev to add them. All training law, all hands on deck. Adds all hands as the bearer. Which grants your division organization -5%, recruitable population factor plus 25%, training time -35%, and experienced soldier loss plus 5%. Cool. A lot more steam trucks. The Troll Warrens get stream tracks, which is an improved tank. Disturbing news from Oregon, it seems the Troll Warren managed to get their hands on some pre-war mining equipment and have repurposed them for war. Caravan and refugees speak of massive 200-foot tall metal monsters crawling with super mutants and armed to the teeth with guns, missiles, and lasers. Analysts are baffled at how the Troll Warren was able to scrap so many of these together, let alone the fact that they are managed to operate them with such efficiency. Information remains spotty at best, but it is known that the metal monsters have some form of anti-aircraft capacity, as recon flights have been shot at routinely, as well as sightings of super mutants operating rudimentary blimps, meaning the super mutants of the Warren are aware of the threat posed by aircraft. That's very interesting. Can pay off the NCR. The Reno Initiative, Reno Reborn. Due to a mix of strategic unimportance, the defenses of Las Vegas, and its sheltered location with the Sierra Army. Sierra Mountains, the city of New Reno survived the war mostly intact. However, that didn't mean it survived the intervening years unscathed. With the collapse of the government and the authority, the city's already prolific gang violence tore the city apart. It wasn't until the end of the 22nd century that the city stabilized beyond several crime families. By the mid-23rd century, it had stabilized beyond 4 families. Now, in the late 23rd century, the Enclave had arrived, and with it Granite. While the Enclave soldiers had replaced gang enforcers, the city remained in a dilapidated state, made worse by the recent fighting between gang enforcers and the Enclave soldiers. In a radio address to the city, the president proposed the Reno Initiative, a grand project to turn the city from a rundown dive of vice and crime to a jewel of the wasteland benefiting the capital of the Enclave in whatever form it would take. The NCR might boast of shady sands and a house brag about New Vegas, a bright light and the blighted landscape, but when the caravans of travelers visited Nevada, it would be the new Reno that would be the greatest city in the waste. Bring Reno back better or make Reno great again. We're pretty good on stability. That would get us at 100% stability, but we're going to take the bottle caps. Reform the Secret Service, unlocks Dana McCoy, head of the Reformed Secret Service, gain 200 manpower, lose 1% to the elites, which is fine. I would like to do... Is it MODOK who I'm thinking of fighting? MODOK, Slags, Vipers, and Jackals. So these ones, or Civilization by Force. We'll probably do that one instead of the Established Tributaries. Can infiltrate the NCR. We could finish out that. We do need to start doing the Sierra Army Depot. There's so much to do. Arsenal of Democracy. We have to finish the Department of Defense. Look at, I mean, just this is the focus tree now. Massive. This would be nice. Home defense. Combat robots. Capturing cities. Reform. A new generation of officers. Promote by loyalty or merit. Yeah, Tradoc. New American heroes. You can do power projection. MacArthur, Sherman, or Chase. Thunder Run. Might do the Sherman. I don't want paratroopers. I despise MacArthur, though it doesn't matter for right now. Start doing this, and again, if we do this, like the 1,000 infantry equipment, pretty sure it takes the lowest quality. So, and then we can go to war with the Den. We do want to do this stuff. This kills our stability. We can reject them and then gain legitimacy, but all right. All right, with that, we're going to end the episode just because we've gone a little bit past our hour time mark. But I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.